us a little bit about Faithful and the origins of this novel?
Faithful is about 3 female friends. One, her husband is having an affair. The other wishes she had a husband. She's turning 40. She's going to be the maid of honor at her younger sister's wedding, and she's wondering why hasn't God sent me a husband. And third woman is a believer, but her husband is not. She is tempted to stray because of connecting with a man who is a strong believer. One thread where the woman is tempted to stray is when she goes back to her college reunion and with her sorority sisters and at homecoming. And so I kind of thought about that when I went back to homecoming, but other than that, I can't say it's autobiographical.
Do you see your novels as sort of an alternative, the secular urban lit out there?
I think not a conscious alternative, but certainly is an alternative for those who more so want to feed their souls.
So when you're at home in your office writing, who do you have in your mind that you're thinking about?
I have all kinds of people in mind. I know that a lot of people who are already believers will pick the book up, but then there's a whole mission field right in the church of people who have either grown up in church or who just kind of go every Sunday and it's a ritual kind of thing. Those are probably the people I think of most. I want people to know the power that they can truly find in their lives when they open up that Bible, when they really start working with God, and how He can just give them so much victory.
Can you tell me a little bit about the book, more Christian than African American? It's sort of a memoir, a nonfiction work. Very intriguing title that I know, whenever you mention that, folks are going to wonder, hey, what is that about exactly?
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about the story behind that book and why you wrote it?
Right. And the subtitle for the book is How Jesus Turned My Life Upside Down. So it's really about my story was growing up not knowing the Lord. I didn't go to church. My family didn't go to church. So I just, over time, I don't even know, it wasn't something my parents put in me, but I just found my primary identity in who I was as a black person. That's how I saw the world. All my affiliations, everything I did flowed out of who I was as a black person, because I didn't know that I could have an identity in Christ. And it wasn't until I was 27 that God just kind of shook up my world, and He had moved me from the DC area where I was from and thought I would stay till I died and moved me to Madison, Wisconsin.
Wow.
And I said, what is this? And I hated it. I said, this is just too white. It's too far from home. I hate it. But it caused me to cry out to God, and that is why He kind of plopped me down. That was my wilderness experience, and He plopped me down there and through me saying, you got to get me out of here, because I knew about God, I just didn't know Him. So I said, He can do miracles, He can get me out of Madison. And so He didn't get me out of Madison, but He changed me forever in Madison by saving me while I was there. And so then He just started working in my heart to just see the whole world. You know how the Bible talks about renewing your mind, being transformed by the power of Christ. And so I just started seeing, God had an identity for me before the foundation of the world, and that identity was in Christ. And all things become new. All the old has passed away, all things become new. And it included those old identities, which wasn't even just being a black person, but just everything. I had my identity in what I did as an attorney. That was everything to me. So all these various things that God said, that was your old self. I want you to place your identity in Christ. That's the eternal identity I had for you before the foundation of the world. So because that was the biggest part of my sort of life change, it became the title of the book, but It's about so much more. It's about many ways that God turned my life upside down.
But the title still draws folks in.
Yes.
Do you think we as African American folk do tend to place too much emphasis on that racial identity, unnecessarily so?
Well, by force of history, we did, because it wasn't our own design; it was the enemy's design. If you look at it ultimately, that we came here, we were subjugated based on the color of our skin. That was never what God intended, and so because of that, and the different groups that were created, we were told that's what your identity is. And so we just began to walk in that, but it was never God's plan. And so that's how we bonded, that's how we survived, and that's what has been perpetuated. But God still says, that was not my plan for you. I didn't plan for all these different groups to be divided based on skin color. I made you all for my glory, and you're not one because of a color, you're one in me. So Yeah, so it's always a constant challenge to look into the Bible and say, well, what did God ultimately intend, and let me walk in that.
So, thank you very much, Kim. Appreciate you being here with us today on Urban Faith, and we look forward to reading Faithful and all the other great books that are soon to come from you.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate being here, and I wish you many blessings on what you're doing. Thank you.